Hello and welcome to the Aggressive Optimism podcast with Jenna Edwards. That's me. So it's episode 10 of the first 2 weeks of solo episodes here on the podcast. And I just want to talk to you about something before we bring guests onto the show next week. I want to zoom out for a minute. Not in a let me summarize these last 2 weeks kind of way, but more like I've been sitting with something. Because if you've listened to these solo episodes, Thailand, Japan, LA, producing, my wedding, like all of it, it can sound like things just worked out, right? Like, wow, that all lined up. Or maybe even, she's so lucky, which by the way, I am. But I believe luck is when opportunity meets preparedness. So definitely lucky, but not in the way most people think of it. And I get that. Like, I get how you can think, oh, she's just lucky and things always work out for her. Believe me, I totally understand. I have a lot of people who think that in my life, and I own it, right? But when you stack the stories together, it sounds clean. But I gotta tell you, it didn't feel clean while I was in it. It felt scrappy and confusing. I felt like I was making it up all the time as I went, right? And I've been thinking about that word, luck. And I don't think that's what it was. And I don't mean that in a I'm so awesome way, right? I mean, when I zoom out, I see something. There's a pattern there. And honestly, I didn't see it until recently. But every time something felt off, I built something. Not perfectly, not strategically, not with a 5-year plan. I just built it. When I felt trapped in my small town, I figured out how to leave. When I came home from Thailand and felt even more like I didn't fit in, I followed that next thread and ended up in Japan. And then at the airport, and I met my husband, right? When LA felt overwhelming and lonely, I found a class. When no one was choosing me, I helped other people first. When everything crashed and I couldn't read, write, or speak in the way that I used to, I didn't go home. And it wasn't because I was brave. I stayed where I felt like I belonged. And I built from there. And when I look at that pattern, that's not luck. That's construction. And honestly, construction is messier than we like to admit, right? And here's the irony. I'm known in my industry as the organized one. Spreadsheets and budgets are like my jam, right? Color-coded schedules, contingency plan after contingency plan. Like I'm the producer who makes chaos behave. That's my reputation. And so every time I tried to produce my own fill in the blank, like even this podcast, every time I tried to produce it the way I would produce a film, it just didn't work. I mean, I must have outlined this like 80 billion times, you guys. I mapped out the season. I figured out the marketing, all of that stuff. And it just felt weird. I mean, every time I would build a brand deck, I would like figure out the episode arc. I would have the guest list in a spreadsheet. I even had a launch calendar. I think I had like 5 different launch calendars. And then I'd sit there and I'd think, it's just not ready, or I need to refine the positioning, or the studio setup isn't quite right. Like months went by like that. Me being very productive on paper, right? But not pressing record, which was so ridiculous. Because if a director said, we can't shoot yet, it's not perfect, I would say we shoot, we adjust, we build in post. That's literally how it works. But when it was mine, I tried to control it. And the more I tried to control it and produce it the way I would produce a film, the less alive it felt, until one day I thought, what if I stopped trying to produce this like a film? And I just built something like a conversation. No dramatic rollout, no polished campaign. Just press record, talk, and release it. Adjust, and that's it. And I do have to say, I got a little bit of like pushback from some people who know me because I haven't been promoting this the way I would promote someone else's project or all of that, but it just didn't feel right. Like I needed to prove to myself that I could get it done before I started to like own it in the world. And what's that saying? It's saying that there's clarity in action, right? It's just that. Because the second I stopped managing it and started doing it, everything moved. And that's so humbling. The other feedback I've been getting is like messages from people I haven't heard from in months, maybe even years, being like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're doing the podcast and it means so much. And it's so humbling, right? I'm realizing that my life does not respond to a shooting schedule. It responds to motion. That's just what I'm starting to figure out for myself. And that's when I saw it, the pattern. I don't escape, I build. Every time I felt misfit energy, I built alignment. Not by burning everything down, though I have done that in the past. Not by running, but by constructing something closer to who I wanted to be. Thailand wasn't an escape. It felt like it in the moment, but now I realize it was expansion. LA wasn't delusion. It was complete and utter alignment. Producing wasn't a backup plan. It was evolution. This podcast, it's that again. I've wanted to do this for years, and not because I needed another project, but because I miss creative rooms. I miss conversations that go deep and sideways with curiosity. I miss talking about human behavior and possibility and stories. I miss building with other people who care about big ideas. And instead of sitting around missing that, I built this. Not because I had it all figured out, y'all, because I still don't, but because I know what alignment feels like. And I have to tell you, I have felt more aligned in the last 2 weeks, kind of flying by the seat of my pants, if I'm being honest. And I've noticed when I feel energy that doesn't fit, I don't just sit in it. I build. And this time, y'all, I'm building it in public, which is slightly terrifying if I'm being honest with you, because you're going to hear me grow on this podcast. You're going to hear me get better. And you're going to hear things evolve. This is not a polished type of situation. It's alive and it's real, and I'm okay with that. Well, I'm like kind of a terrified, nervous excitement about that, if I'm being honest. But that's how everything meaningful in my life has ever been built. In motion, a little scrappy, a little uncertain, but super intentional. And so next week, we expand. We move into weekly conversations because I don't want you to just hear my version of building. I really do believe there's a million ways to do anything, a million paths to that big, audacious goal. And I want you to hear from people who built theirs, not because they were lucky, but because they kept building in uncertainty, in imperfection, in motion. So you're going to hear from people who got scrappy, who didn't wait to be chosen, who expanded in real time. And you're going to hear this podcast evolve alongside those conversations. That's the point. So when I say this is not luck, I mean luck is random. This has been patterned, decision, curiosity, contribution, expansion. Repeat. And maybe the only transferable part of that isn't my path. It's the posture. You don't escape. You build. Every time something feels tight. It might be just information. It might be an invitation to build something closer to alignment. And maybe, just maybe, and by maybe I mean really, you do not have to wait until it's perfect. You can build in motion. I am right here with you. So follow the show, leave a review, and come back next week. We're expanding this thing in real time. So until next time, go be realistic. And by realistic, I mean optimistic. Let's do this.